welcome to today's video lecture. In today's video lecture, I'll be solving previous year's NEET questions and discussing the answers. And this is for the chapter Structural Organization in Animals. Okay, Structural Organization in Animals, and we are in part 1 of the series. Alright, so let's begin. Question number 1. Cuboidal epithelium with brush border of microvilli is found in, this appeared in NEET 2020, pretty recent. A. Lining of intestine. B. Ducts of salivary glands. C. Proximal convoluted tubule of nephron. And D. Eustachian tube. Okay, so brush border cuboidal epithelium is found in proximal convoluted tubule of nephron. Okay, so the correct answer is C. Okay, let's go to the discussion. So cuboidal epithelium cells, they have the same height and width, and the nuclei are rounded. Obviously, it comes from the word cuboid. You know what a cuboid is. And the cuboidal epithelium with a brush border are found in PCT of nephrons. Okay. So clear. This is a very factual base, and this information is also present in NCERT. So when you are reading NCERT, please go through every type of epithelium and where it is located. If you want to make things easier for yourself, make a table, okay, with the tissue type and where it is found in the body. Okay, this is very important. Like, you know, this kind of question could appear. All right, clear. Let's move on then. All right, so question number 2. Goblet cells of alimentary canal are modified from, this appeared in NEET 2020, again a very recent question. A. Squamous epithelial cells. B. Columnar epithelial cells. C. Chondrocytes. And D. Compound epithelial cells. Okay, so goblet cells are modified versions of columnar epithelial cells. Okay, so your answer is B. Let's go to the discussion. Okay, so here you have a diagram directly taken from NCERT. Okay, and goblet cells are columnar epithelial cells. Now these modified columnar epithelial cells are also known as glandular epithelial. Okay, so columnar epithelial cells are further classified into glandular epithelium. Okay, and goblet cells are unicellular glandular epithelium. Okay, so this is unicellular gland over here. You see, if you can see here, this is the goblet cell. Okay, so they are unicellular. Over here you can see they are multicellular gland. Okay, so this is a type of columnar epithelial. So if they ask you what kind of cell it is a columnar epithelial. Now there are certain columnar or cuboidal cells which are further modified to secrete some substances. Like in the case of goblet cell, secretes mucus, right? So they are further modified to behave like glands. So they are also called as glandular epithelium. Okay, so the question over here was goblet cells of alimentary canal are modified from columnar epithelial cells. Okay, that's the correct answer. Okay, this is also very direct, also present in NCERT. So please read. And let's move on then. Okay, question number 3. The ciliated epithelial cells are required to move particles of mucus in a specific direction. In humans, these cells are mainly present in, this appeared in NEET 2019. So you have A. Bronchioles and fallopian tubes, B. Bile duct and bronchioles, C. Fallopian tubes and pancreatic duct, D. Eustachian tube and salivary duct. So over here, clearly it says ciliated epithelial cells. Okay, required to move particles of mucus in a specific direction. Now, ciliated epithelial cells are found in bronchioles and fallopian tubes. Okay, so the answer is A. Okay, so the correct answer is A. Let's go to the discussion. Now, ciliated columnar epithelium cells are present in most parts of respiratory tract, the uterus, uterine tube, efferent ductules of testes, parts of middle ear and auditory tube, then ependyma, lining of the central canal of spinal cord and ventricles of the brain. Now these are the areas where ciliated columnar epithelium is present. Okay, so they in the question they just specifically said ciliated. What, whether it's columnar or cuboidal, we don't know that, but just think of it as this way: when there is cilia present, and cilia is always moving, okay, in a direction, so what it does is basically pushing out something. Okay, it's either pushing out something. Now in the case of bronchioles, it is pushing out mucus, so it needs some, the mucus needs a trigger, a force to push it out, right? So the cilia does that job. Similarly, in the fallopian tube, when the egg is released, the ova is released into the fallopian tube, it needs to be pushed out from the ovary towards the uterus, right? So cilia does that job in fallopian tube. So you can think of it as this way, that there, when there is wherever there is some movement required, yes, cilia plays a role in that. So these are the areas in the body that I've already listed down. If you want, you can note it down, where ciliated columnar epithelium is present. Oh, sorry. The next question uh, pretty much answers our question. Yeah, epithelial cells are required to move particles or mucus in a specific direction. That was also written over here, so they've given a lot of hint of what the answer could be. Clearly it's bronchioles and fallopian tubes. Okay, like I already said, that wherever there's movement required, something to be pushed out, you know, in a direction, then cilia plays a role in that. Okay, clear? Specifically, it is called ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, now if they ask you what kind of ciliated cell is present, the ciliated epithelium is present, ciliated columnar epithelium is present there. Okay, question number 4. Match the following cell structure with its characteristic feature. This appeared in Orissa NEET 2019. Okay, so you have tight junctions, adhering junctions, gap junctions, synaptic junctions. So, cement neighboring cells together to form sheet, transmit information through chemicals to another cell, that's synaptic. Establish a barrier to prevent leakage of fluid across epithelial cells, and cytoplasmic channels to facilitate communication between adjacent cell, that's gap junction. So you have C4, you have D2, and you have B1, and you have A3. So your answer should be C. Yep. So your answer is C. Let's go through the definitions in a little detail for each of them. Now, usually in the epithelium, there are certain junctions that are found, okay, in the epithelial cells. Now, these are the following junctions that we'll talk about. You know that there are some junctions that help to maintain a gap. Maintain the tightness together between the two cells. There are some junctions that, you know, create a gap to allow some movement of particles to happen. So they play different kind of roles. Now, let's talk about tight junctions. It's also known as zonula occludens. Just giving it to you for information. I don't know if they'll ever ask you. They're mostly seen at the apices of the epithelial cells. I mean the apex part. Okay, this is the basolateral part. So it is seen. This is the apex part. It is seen over here. Okay, and the plasma membranes are in close contact with each other. So if you know it's two cells sticking together, plasma membranes are in close contact with each other. So this is called tight junction. Now they act as barriers to prevent the movement of molecules into the intercellular spaces. Adhering junctions or anchoring junctions bind cells together. Okay, they bind cells together. Now, gap junctions or communicating junctions allow direct movement of some substances from cell to cell. I mean that cytoplasm is connected. We'll come to gap junction little later on in this lecture, where I've explained gap junctions in a little bit of detail. But there is a connection that is made which allows movement of some particles, okay, across the cells. And synaptic junctions communicate from one neuron to another neuron via chemical transmission. So synaptic junctions you are well aware of. I'm sure I've already discussed as a neural control and coordination. Okay, so these are the four types of junctions that are found. Okay, I think I have a diagram. Yeah. So you have zonula occludens. You have the tight junctions. You have the adhering junction over here. This is also a type of adhering junction, and this is again tight junction. This is a gap junction. Okay, so these are the types of junctions that are found in our epithelial cells. Some of them, like I said, maintain a close connection, you know, they stick together, right? They cement the cells together. And there are some that create a gap which allows some movement to take place. Okay, so learn the definitions. Okay, learn these definitions so then it will be easier for you to answer the question. Okay, next question. Question number 5. Smooth muscles are, and this appeared in NEET 2016, A. Involuntary fusiform non-striated, B. Voluntary multinucleate cylindrical, C. Involuntary cylindrical striated, D. Voluntary spindle shaped uninucleate. Smooth muscles are clearly involuntary. Okay, it's out of our control. We don't consciously move those muscles. So involuntary is one of them. They are fusiform shaped and they are non-striated. Okay, so the answer should be A. Let's look at smooth muscles. Yeah, smooth muscles are involuntary, fusiform, that is, they are tapering at both ends. Okay, you see this structure over here, they're tapering at both ends. They fuse together at both ends. Okay, and they are non-striated. Okay, clear? This is a very simple definition of smooth muscle, and this much you should know. And this diagram is also again taken from NCERT. So this you should be aware of, right? Let's move on then. Question number 6. Which type of tissue correctly matches with its location? Okay, and this appeared in NEET 2016. Correctly matches. So transitional epithelium, tip of nose, no. Cuboidal epithelium, lining of stomach, no. C. Smooth muscle, wall of intestine, yes. Areolar tissue, tendons, no. So it's smooth muscle which is present in the wall of intestine. Answer is C. So transitional epithelium is around, I'll just talk about transitional epithelium so that you know what that is. It's about 4 to 6 cells thick, and the deepest cells are, you know, it's like a layer of cells. They're around 4 to 6 layers of cells thick. Okay, and the deepest are the cuboidal or columnar. The middle layers are made up of polyhedral or pear-shaped cells, sorry. And the topmost layers are large and shaped like an umbrella. Okay, I think I have a diagram for that. They are found in the renal pelvis, calces, and ureter, urinary bladder, and part of urethra. Transitional epithelium is also called as urothelium. So these transitional epithelium is usually found in the urinary part of our system. Okay, present in the kidneys, in the urethra, in the urinary bladder. So they are also known as urothelium, and they are shaped like that. The lining of stomach contains a simple columnar epithelium. Okay, so yes, that answer was incorrect. Smooth muscle cells are present in the wall of intestine. Yes, we know that. Tendons are made up of collagen fibers that run parallel to each other and are surrounded by loose connective tissue called areolar tissue. So tendons as such are made up of collagen fibers. Okay, they're dense regular tissues, connective tissues, and they're surrounded by the areolar tissues and loose connective tissues. Okay, so this is the answer over here. Yes. So over here you can see, what do I have here? Can you guess? Transitional epithelium. Okay, this is the layer. Okay, you can see the topmost layer is umbrella shaped. Okay, the bottommost layer is cuboidal or columnar. Okay, shaped. Now this is what the cells look like when they are stretched. Okay, like urinary bladder, or you need stretching, right, for it to take place. So the topmost layer, see how the cells have become flattened. Here this is the normal, the the top part is the normal, the top diagram, sorry, is the normal transitional epithelium. This is what it looks like when it is stretched. Okay, so it becomes flat. This is a diagram of a tendon. Okay, this is what a tendon looks like. Okay, so there you can see they're all parallel collagen fibers that are structured like that. Okay, so I just wanted to explain all the other tissues also that are there in that list, so that you know where each is present. Okay, so clear, I guess we can move on. Question number 7. The function of the gap junction is to, it's appeared in 2015, we just discussed gap junction. A. Separate two cells from each other. B. Stop substance from leaking across a tissue. C. Performing cementing to keep neighboring cells together. D. Facilitate communication between adjoining cells by connecting the cytoplasm for rapid transfer of ions, small molecules, and some large molecules. Okay, so gap junction is actually D. That's the definition of gap junction. Also known as communicating junctions or maculae communicantis. Okay, they allow direct movement of some substances from cell to cell. Now now what is actually gap junction? How does it look like? How is it structured? Okay, this is what I'm trying to explain in this particular slide. Now the intercellular gap, they contain bead-like structures. Okay, and there are channels. They are also known as canaliculus. Okay, there are channels which pass through each bead. Okay, so if this is the intercellular gap over here, there are some bead-like structures. Okay, and there are channels which pass through. Okay, there are channels which pass through and connect the cytoplasm of the adjoining cells. I have a good diagram also to explain that. Now the channels are made, now all this is extra information, they won't ask you a NEET, but I thought that this would help you understand and remember gap junctions. Okay, the channels now are made up of 6 protein elements called nexins or connexons. Okay, the two names given to it, nexins, or they also known as connexons. Okay, those channels which go pass through each bead from one cell to another. Okay, that is made up of 6 protein elements called nexins. Okay, and they protrude from both cells and meet at the center of the gap. Okay, so if this is one cell and this is another cell, okay, so there is one nexon coming from here, there's another nexon coming from here. Okay, and they meet somewhere in the middle. Okay, and there are like bead like structures present in between. Okay, so that's how they protruding from the cytoplasm out into the middle of the gap. Okay, where both nexons meet from one cell is coming from the other cell. Okay, and the inner part of the nexon, okay, that means this part is connected to the cytoplasm and this outer part is connected to the intercellular gap. That's all. Okay, so if this is the nexon, this part is connected to the cytoplasm, and the middle, I mean, as it is moving towards the intercellular gap, it is connected the outer part of the nexon is connected to the intercellular gap. It is meeting the other nexon coming from the other cell. Okay, that's how they are connected. That's how gap junctions are connected. Yeah, so I have a good diagram here. Yeah, so here you can see this one nexon coming from here, the other nexon coming from here, and they meet over here, right? And yeah, this is the 6 nexons that it is formed of, 6 protein elements. Okay, and this space here is the intercellular gap. Okay, so that's how gap junctions are formed. Okay, if you're curious, I have taken this diagram from textbook of histology by I.B. Singh. You'll probably have to study it later when you're studying medicine, by I.B. Singh. Okay, so this diagram is taken from there, and this basically represents how the gap junction is formed between two cells in the intercellular gap region. Okay, all right, so that answers our question. Let's move on. Question number 8. Choose the correctly matched pair. It's appeared in the year 2014. A. Tendon, specialized connective tissue. B. Adipose tissue, dense connective tissue. C. Areolar tissue is loose connective tissue. D. Cartilage is loose connective tissue. So it's actually C. Sorry, areolar tissue is loose connective tissue. That's the correctly matched pair. Answer is C. So tendon is actually dense connective tissue. Okay, adipose and areolar tissue are loose connective tissues. Cartilage, bones, and blood are specialized connective tissue, and this you have to know. You have to know this. Okay, there is no escaping from it. This is very basic, and this is there. All this information is present in NCERT, so there is no excuse to not knowing it. All right. So it's pretty direct question, but if you knew the facts, you should be able to answer this question. All right, let's move on then. All right, so question number 9. Choose the correctly matched pair. This appeared in the year 2014. A. Inner lining of salivary duct, ciliated epithelium. B. Moist surface of buccal cavity, glandular epithelium. C. Tubular parts of nephron, cuboidal epithelium. D. Inner surface of bronchiole, squamous epithelium. So to find the correctly matched pair, and that should be C. Tubular parts of nephron contain cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so the answer is C. Okay, let's go to the discussion. Inner lining of salivary ducts and moist surface of buccal cavity contain compound epithelium. Okay, both of them contain compound epithelium. Inner surface of bronchioles contain ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, oops, sorry. So that comes back to our correct answer, which is cuboidal epithelium, brush border cuboidal epithelium, which is present in the tubular parts of nephron. We discussed that in the first question. Okay, where we spoke about the brush border cuboidal epithelium. So you know this. I've just you know the answer, obviously C, but A, B, and D also have answered the correct answer that should have been. All right, so let's move on then. Question number 10. Identify the tissue shown in the diagram and match with its characteristics and its location. All right, so A, smooth muscles, and this appeared in Karnataka NEET 2013. A, smooth muscles show branching found in the wall of the heart. B, cardiac muscles, unbranched muscles found in the walls of the heart. C, striated muscles tapering at both ends attached with the bones of the ribs. D, skeletal muscles show striation and are closely attached with the bones of the limbs. Okay, so clearly in this diagram what we see is it's skeletal muscles, so that's striated muscle. So it should be D. Skeletal muscles show striations and are closely attached with the bones of the limbs. So the answer is D. Alright, so obviously the striation of the I band and the A band, which we discussed in locomotion and movement. So it's not really much to discuss here. This diagram is taken from NCERT. You should know this. Okay, so and remember, skeletal muscles are striated. Okay, they're striated and they're voluntary. Okay, so it's under our control to move them, and obviously they are closely attached to the bones. Okay, clear? Let's move on then. This was easy. Question number 11. Given below is a diagrammatic sketch of a certain type of connective tissue. Identify the parts labeled A, B, C, and D and select the right option about them. Okay, so if you have read NCRT, you know this diagram is very familiar. This appeared in mains 2012. So A is actually macrophage. Okay, and B is fibroblast, C is collagen, D is mast cell. So the answer should be ideally A. Yep. So ideally it should be A. Okay, let's go to the discussion. Yeah, so this is the diagram that's taken from NCRT, which you should know. So you have mast cells, you have macrophage, you have fibroblast, and you have collagen fibers. Okay, so they are all parallelly arranged over here. So you have a fibroblast over here, which are irregular connective, dense connective tissues. And yeah, that is pretty much the answer. This was directly taken from NCRT. So if you knew the diagram very well, you would have answered this and got marks for it. Pretty easy. Okay, let's move on then. Question number 12. The supportive skeletal structures in the human external ears and in the nose tip are examples of, this appear in mains 2012. A. Ligament, B. Areolar tissue, C. Bone, and D. Cartilage. Okay, so external ear and the nose tip are actually examples of cartilage. Okay, that's why cartilage is present. Okay, so the answer is, D. Answer is D. I don't know what went wrong with my pen, but anyway, let's go to the discussion. Okay, so you have two diagrams here. If you like, can you pause the video and see what kind? I'll give you a hint. They're both cartilages. Yes, we're talking about cartilages, but what type of cartilage it is? Okay, which is the left one, which is the right one? Obviously, I'll tell you the answer, but try to guess. And if you know your cartilages very well, you would be able to guess this very easily. Okay, which is the left one, which is the right one? Okay, so I hope you have guessed your answer. Um, so this one over here is called elastic cartilage, the one on the left. So elastic cartilage is present in the pinna of the ear. Okay, and parts of the nasal septum and lateral wall of the nose is made up of hyaline cartilage. Okay, so if they ever ask you what kind of cartilage is present there, you know which is elastic, where elastic is present, where hyaline is present, where fibrocartilage is present. The three types of cartilages. Okay, and you should know in the part of our body which type of cartilage is present in each part of the body. Okay, because they could even maybe make it very specific. This is because this was a very general question. Pretty easy, it's cartilage, but what kind of cartilage, you should know that too. Okay, so elastic cartilage is present in the pinna of the ears over here, and this septum over here, nasal septum, the lateral wall of the nose, that's made of hyaline cartilage. Okay, clear? Okay. All right, so question number 13. I'm sorry about the quality of this photo here, but in case you can't read it, I'll anyway read this question out to you. And this appeared in mains 2012. The four sketches A, B, C, and D given below represent four different types of animal tissues. Which one of these is correctly identified in the options given, along with its correct location and function? Okay, so you have option A, which is diagram B, glandular epithelium, location intestine, function is secretion. Okay, you have diagram C, collagen fibers, cartilage, attached skeletal muscles to bones. No, not really, no. That's actually ligament. Smooth muscle tissue, that's okay, we're looking at D. Smooth muscle tissue, heart contraction. No, it's cardiac muscle. A, columnar epithelium, nephron secretion absorption. No, that's cuboidal epithelium. So the correct option over here is A. Okay, answer A. Let's go to discussion. So, unicellular glands form a part of the glandular epithelium. Modified columnar or cuboidal epithelium are present in the alimentary canal. Okay, so for example, you have a glandular epithelium like goblet cells. Okay, and I think the diagram given over there, I think is that of a multicellular gland. No, it's of a unicellular gland. I'm sorry. That's what it looks like. And yeah, they're talking about goblet cells. Unicellular glands are goblet cells, and they're present in the alimentary canal, the intestine, and they are glandular epithelium, which are modified columnar or cuboidal epithelium. We already discussed that. Okay, so this is a diagram of what a goblet cell looks like actually. Okay, this is what a goblet cell looks like. Okay, and yeah, they present the alimentary canal, and obviously that was the correct option there. And goblet cells secrete mucus, that's its job, so secretion is there. I think that was also part of the question. Yeah, secretion over here. So clearly A is the option A is the right answer here. All right, so it's important to know all the diagrams that are there in NCRT. Was like you just saw in this question, they could ask you anything, right? Yes, we can move on then. Yeah, okay. Goblet cells are modified columnar epithelium with microvilli present in the intestine. Yeah, clearly you can see their columnar epithelium. You can see the nucleus is present at the bottom, at the base, around the base, and their striated border. That means they have microvilli over here. Striated border means they have microvilli over here, and you have the goblet cells over here. So they are modified columnar epithelium. Even if that kind of question also appears, that what kind of modified version is goblet cell. So it's a modified columnar epithelium. Okay, not just epithelium, but what kind of epithelium is columnar epithelium. Okay, so this is an important information that you should note down about goblet cells. Okay, let's move on. Question number 14. The ciliated columnar epithelial cells in humans are known to occur in, this appeared in 2011. I think we already discussed this. So repetition. A. Eustachian tube and stomach lining. B. Bronchioles and fallopian tube. C. Bile duct and esophagus. D. Fallopian tube and urethra. So ciliated columnar epithelium is present in bronchioles and fallopian tube. We already discussed this. Answer is B. Okay. So this is what a ciliated columnar epithelium looks like. Just put a diagram there so you can better understand it. Okay, you can see the cilia over here, and obviously bronchioles and fallopian tube. The presence of ciliated columnar epithelium has a job there. There is a function for it to perform in bronchioles and fallopian tube, and obviously cilia plays a very important role over there. So what kind of ciliated epithelium? Then ciliated columnar epithelium. Just say that. Okay, clear? Again, direct question, easy. Question number 15. The cells lining the blood vessels belong to the category of, this appeared in means 2011 and 2010. A. Smooth muscle tissue. B. Squamous epithelium. C. Columnar epithelium. D. Connective tissue. So the cells lining the blood vessels are B. Squamous epithelium. Okay, so the answer is B. Okay. So squamous cells line the blood vessels and lymph vessels. They are also known as endothelium. Yeah, they are called as endothelium. Okay, so that's the name given to the cells that line the blood vessels and lymph vessels. Okay, they're called endothelium. Okay, clear? It's also direct. Let's move on. Question number 16. Which one of the following is correct pairing of a body part and the kind of muscle tissue that moves it? This appeared in 2009. Correct pairing of a body part and the kind of muscle tissue. So A. Biceps of upper arm, smooth muscle fibers. No. B. Abdominal wall, smooth muscle. No. Iris, involuntary smooth muscle. Yes. Heart wall, involuntary unstriated muscle. It's involuntary but it's striated. So answer is actually C. Abdominal wall contains skeletal muscles. You can voluntarily move your abdominal muscles. You can even try it now at this very moment, right? But the iris muscle, you can't control it on your own. It's out of your control. It's involuntary. Okay, so answer is C. Let's go to the discussion. So iris consists of involuntary smooth muscles. So the iridial muscles, they are also known as iris muscles, are innervated by autonomic nervous system. That means the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system play a role, okay, in constricting or dilating the iris. okay, based on which one is activated. All right, so clear. Let's move on. Question number 17. The epithelial tissue present on the inner surface of bronchioles and fallopian tube is, again, we've come across this. So this seems to be like an important question. This appeared in 2009. Answer is B, ciliated. Okay, it is definitely ciliated, present in bronchioles and fallopian tubes. The same answer, so I won't spend time discussing it. Okay, let's move on. Question number 18. The cell junction called tight, adhering and gap junctions are found in, this appeared in 2009, A, connective tissue, B, epithelial tissue, C, neural tissue, D, muscular tissue. So they are found in B, epithelial tissue. Answer is B. Okay, so cell junctions are found in epithelial tissue. When we discussed tight junction, adherent junction, gap junctions, now these different types of junctions are mostly they are seen in epithelial tissues. Okay, clear? I guess we can move on. We've already discussed the definitions of each type. Okay, and let's move on. Yeah, they form structural and functional links between individual cells. Okay, question number 19. The kind of tissue that forms a supportive structure in our pinna is also found in. Okay, the kind of tissue. This appeared in 2009. A, nails, B, ear ossicles, C, tip of the nose, and D, vertebrae. Now, if you think about this question, there are two answers, possible answers that are there. And I thought I'll discuss both the answers. So, answers should be C and D. Okay, C and D. And we'll come to the discussion. So, pinna consists of elastic cartilage. We've already discussed this, right? Tip of the nose consists of hyaline cartilage. So there are two different types of cartilage: elastic cartilage, hyaline cartilage. But this cartilage present between the vertebrae bones also. Okay, so there are joints present between each vertebrae. The intervertebral discs that are present there between each vertebrae, and they consist of fibrocartilage. Okay, so vertebrae also has cartilage in the sense that between each vertebrae there is a space called the intervertebral disc. Okay, and there's fibrocartilage present there. Obviously, I guess tip of the nose would be the best answer, the right answer. But don't forget, like maybe they might, twist the question a little bit. That's why I thought I'll explain vertebrae part also and why and where cartilage is present there. Obviously, yes, like I said, fibrocartilage is present there in the intervertebral disc area. Okay, that's why I chose C and D. But ideally, C is usually given as the right answer. Okay, so yeah, that's it. If you go back to the question, yeah, okay. Ideally, C should be the right answer, tip of the nose, but vertebrae, it's not really present in the vertebrae bones, but it is present between vertebrae. So there is cartilage present there too. And it's called fibrocartilage. So they were asked you what kind of cartilage is present there, it's fibrocartilage. Okay, all right. So we've come to the end of this lecture, and I hope you enjoyed today's lecture, and I hope you learned something new today. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to MG NEET Biology. And I'm also available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so you can follow me there for more updates. And I'll see you in the next video lecture. All right. So bye.